Hi everybody, this is Christy. I am the Intimate Warrior. I thank you so much for stopping by, and as always, I send you love. So this is this is my second video of today. I am just doing a little recap or letting you guys know of something that just took place here a bit ago. So this is going to be still in regards to June energies, or what I was actually talking about in my video that is labeled June, a Heavenly Exchange. But in that video, I expressed that I ended up releasing the bird that I had rescued early on in May 6th. On May 6th, we got her. And so I was outside still the entire time, just hoping I would catch a glimpse of her again, and just looking at all the other birds, and just, kind of playfully, Nibbles, is that you? We called her Nibbles, just because my granddaughter calls all of the little animals Nibbles, and so we put her name as Nibbles. I came in, and because I'm just really exhausted again today, and I was going to rest, or at least try to read and just, be by myself. But I ended up going back outside. My husband and I had a little snack, and I was hearing this little chirp. And I knew it was her chirp, but I just couldn't see her. She was above me in the tree that she ended up, that was near where we put her cage at. And then I was just getting really exhausted, just sitting there trying to communicate with her and let her know that I was down there, and asking her if she was hungry, she can come back down. And I would just hear her kind of moving around up there and kind of getting closer. And so I was actually going on my way in, and my husband approached also. He was coming back out from the house. And I kept hearing her, and I was like, I know that's her. And so I kept calling her, and getting really, really persistent in my calling, Nibbles, Nibbles, and and making little whistle noises. And eventually, she came down, and she has not learned to really fly very well as I had thought or hoped for her. And she got onto a line, and I still couldn't reach her from how short I am. She was just like a half a foot above my head, and I just couldn't get her. And so she flew down in front of me on the swings that we have, and she just began to flutter because she was so hungry, and it had been a couple of hours, of course, so we let her go. And I fed her right there from the syringe that I had been using. I kept it outside the entire time in case I did see her. So I fed her, and I ended up just grabbing her. My husband said to grab her. And of course she allowed me to, and we put her back in the cage. So she's back with us. She was a little, I guess, I don't know, traumatized, or if that's the right word, very hungry. And so I brought her back in here to calm her down, and we're listening to music. It's been an hour now that she's been home again, and she seems to be happy where she's at right now. So the point of this is, again, as I mentioned it in one of my other videos about that proverb about if you love something, you set it free. If it returns, it's yours forever. If it doesn't, it never was. So, of course I am not, we may still have to keep her. Because the way that she was just flying wasn't very strong. And of course she's been in a cage since she's been born. But she's been trying to fly in the cage, and I thought she was really doing well there. But I think she might have been injured whenever we did find her, dropped, because her chest looked a little swollen, and one of her wings, her right wing, kind of dragged a little bit for a little bit, but everything looks healthy. She looks great. So if we can't find a place that's going to, of course, take her in, she will be ours. until, well, for her life, I guess. But the point is that we have to really be willing to let go of every single thing that we have in our lives. That true love doesn't want to hold so tightly to, that it suffocates. And that is the kind of love that I used to give to others. And I'm learning still on what I have been doing in that aspect. You know, like for my son, I am still a mom, and I want to be his mom. I want to help him when he's sick or in trouble. You know, but from his perspective, what does he see my love as? You know, Mom, you're overbearing. Or what is he thinking? You know, Mom, you're always bugging me throughout the day. You don't have to message me and check. You know, of course, I'm just assuming. I'm just talking here. I'm not, you know, I'm not in any way, shape, or form thinking that that's what he's thinking. But that's what, you know, some children can think of until they get to a certain age, you know, and you really begin to appreciate the mother-to-child relationship. I've appreciated my mom, but I also kept her at arm's length after my auto accident for a good chunk of my life. I would, yes, go out and see her, this and that, but I would be so upset about her controlling. And now I'm at that point of, because I know myself, that doesn't happen, of course, and I don't see it in that way any longer, no matter what. Even though she might go through spells of not talking to me, getting mad at me, or whatever it is, I still understand that if I observe anything negative in regards to it, it is about myself. And I understand that in order for her to heal, she has to go through it herself and understand why she's going through it to begin with, and also, of course, forgive. So, but I just wanted to add this information to, hopefully, my extra video about June energies and how highly significant this is to our unification. Now, we go through these seasons every year, no matter what. So we've been through this, through the June energy, which, of course, is approaching summer, which keeps us in alignment with the 12-12, and, of course, 13 and 13. So it is still about unification, always has been about unification, and becoming completely balanced from within. So this is a time, whether it's summer or winter, we are learning equality or balance, coming from a neutral perspective of unification, of course, which is love. And it happens every season. But there's a difference this time, because we are working with the 666, which is also the energy exchange. And so I hope to continue on with that and add it to this brief video and message. So just stay tuned. Hi everybody, this is Christy. I am the Intimate Warrior. I thank you so much for stopping by. And as always, I send you love. Today is June the 5th, and I guess there was no need for me to add that introduction to this video, since I think I am already compiling it together with my update on my little bird status. So this video is, I think it's going to be kind of brief, but I hope is going to entail lots of information within it. And we are dealing with, of course, the June energies, but more specifically, I want to talk about June the 6th of the year, numerical year of 6. So we are in 2022. You add up those 3 digits, you get 6, which makes tomorrow 666. And it's it's working through the most beautiful time. You know, every time, it doesn't matter where it is, what we're going through is a beautiful time, as long as we are doing our work. When we are doing our work, the troubles that we're going through, or like tomorrow being 666, if you ask somebody else who is very dense or in negative form or negative mindset, they will be terrified of tomorrow's date. But tomorrow is actually a great reminder that we are all completing the work in some way, shape, or form. So, and lots of things that I have been going through, and I'm not sure how my emotions are going to be in this video, but so when we are working with 666, this is actually working with what? Carbon 12. Just imagine, though, the purpose, in order to live, we must breathe, right? We take in oxygen and we expel carbon. Now, a lot of people who don't breathe correctly are not utilizing oxygen properly. So they are not expelling enough carbon dioxide. So when you are actually, when that happens, you can become very dizzy and, of course, very sick. Carbon has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. And this is going to work with the 12th letter of the Hebrew alphabet of Lamed. This is also known as ox goad, which ironically, the ox works with a left, not ironically, but you have to see these symbols, and a left is the breath and also is air. But so Lamed is also the shepherd's staff, or a hook, that Moses was actually carrying. It is works with lead, but also coal, and we are transforming lead into coal. This is what also in with King Solomon, where it says in the Bible that the weight of the gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 636 talents of gold. But more specifically, what was taking place with Solomon, of course, the Solomon seal, the seal of Solomon, and King David, the seal of King David is also the same thing. It's the same thing. But the King Solomon seal, when you look at many of the pictures, it actually looks like it's a continued flow between pyramid to pyramid or triangle to triangle, whereas the Star of David, it looks like the 2 diamonds or the 2 pyramids are overlapping each other. One is interconnected, and this is actually the alchemical union, or where the hero of Gamos is actually taking place, of actually the father and the mother are united back together in order to receive gold. And so in what is actually taking place is that the soul of man, Solomon, exchanges his carbon 12 for gold, or oxygen. And so it's so vital for us to learn how to properly breathe, of course. And I know for myself, it began with me learning how to be still. That was my first practice on truly taking in my breath by being conscious of the breath. And of course, through my ascension cycle, I learned more about what that truly meant, and in relationship to our health, the air we take in and we expel. With every single in and out breath, we are truly becoming connected to God. So when we're actually thinking more of like oxygen, we are taking in higher oxygen. And that deals with the opening of the crown. So like the light of the Ein Sof, getting to the very all aspects of being, infinite, the source, and taking that in and actually utilizing it to change every single element and particle DNA within our human form. And so we are taking in oxygen, which deals with Aleph, which has 8 protons, 8 neutrons, and 8 electrons. And when we actually receive the full breath, of course, like I said, we're working with Aleph, but we're working with Kether, or the very top of the tree of life, and therefore the crown. We are making the connection between worlds of the higher mind now and Melkoth, or earth. And this becomes where the kingdom, we're exchanging. I'm going to give up, like I've been talking about here recently in all of these videos previous to this one. We are giving up all earthly possessions, all earthly ideas, all earthly pain, trauma, limitations, and of course any negative form within our body in order to become united. This is about receiving the Spirit. There's an exchange going on, though. It's not actually, depending on where you are, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We are letting go of the human form in order to attain the true Spirit from within. And that is what this is actually all about. And this is what it says in the Bible in Revelation 2:10. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So that's what it's talking about when we are doing this exchange. But in order for us to actually have this, or do this exchange, there has to be of course I'm talking about also Aleph and Toph, the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega. We're going to receive a sign. And of course the sign from God is the cross. But you have to complete this crossing. The cross becomes the spinal canal that has, the energies have risen above the heart. Of course, through also, going towards the top of the base of the skull, and the spine, or the medulla oblongata across. So because the alta major works into the heart center as well, and that's the crossing point. This is where the crucifixion takes place. All of the energies are increased in power so that it can enter into the crown. In order for it to enter into the crown, you must work with the head, and that deals with Resh. Resh is the 20th letter of the Hebrew alphabet and works with the head, and it works with gold. It deals with the sun, and so if you're actually thinking about this, where in order for us to truly reach our higher self or integrate spirit into our human form, you have to work with the sacred secretion. You have to know what that means. You have to have this you must perform this every single day. I say every single day, but there are lots of teachings out there asking that you give up. Well, and this is what the tithing is all about in the Bible. The tithing equals the 3 days that the moon is in your cycle, every single month of your zodiacal cycle, that is. So that's the moon cycle. But, in order to truly take the path here, the true path, or the path towards integration of Christ, you have to do this every single day. Because, we can't be loved one day, or, okay, I'm only going to work in love for those X amount of times that my moon is in my sign, and then I'm not going to care about it any other time. No. This path is very lengthy, it's very strenuous, it's very difficult, and it's always continuously. And it's always a selfless act, and it's very conscious of every single thing that's going on internally instead of externally. You are always using your external experiences to guide you towards how you are feeling and what's going on internally. And that's how you exchange lead into gold. Lead into gold. And so you must work with your sacred secretion on a daily basis. Alchemy is done on a daily basis, all day long. And if we aren't being loved all day long, aware of how we are feeling and how we are treating others, then there's no way that the sexual transmutation cannot take place. There's no way that it's possible. Love is the only way. So we're going to actually have to, in order to get to the head of Resh and work with gold, which is also going to work with Kether and the crown, simultaneously, and get to the pineal gland where we actually see the face of God, we have to incorporate, there has to be that connection that has been made. And I think I've already mentioned Lamed in some of my videos, but Lamed is the only letter in the Hebrew alphabet that ascends upward. And that means that in the very top line of that Lamed acts as a yod. And the yod is the point, the dot, also acting as the Bindu chakra that I mentioned, and I talk about it from time to time, but I think I also have a video labeled the Bindu chakra. That's how the light, gold, or the Ein Sof, the light, the ray of creation, is able to penetrate into our crown and give us pure oxygen or pure light, pure energy, in order for us to truly eventually have the Kundalini rise back up along with it, which is the Divine Mother. So you're going to have the Father, which that is the light of all creation, uniting back with the Mother, and ascending back upward. And those two are married together. You witness God from internally. And it's through Lamed that this is possible. Lamed also includes the Kaf, or calf, which acts as the cap, or the holy cap that many religious people wear, indicating that they have this knowledge. Of course, that could be an illusion, that because if they're keeping secrets to themselves, in order for them to attain knowledge or enlightenment, whatever. I'm not going to get too much into that because I think you guys know how I feel in terms of all of that. Lamed is very similar to how the spine works, or Vav, which is also the sixth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, when we contain all 3 sixes, or have not worked through the spinal canal of all spiritual bodies. We are still carbon-based. So that's another example of how that kind of works. The Vav is what connects the crown to the spine, or also through the heart. So the spine is actually attaching those worlds together and uniting those worlds together. Now you need something uniting the crown through the Holy Trinity, because you're going to have the point. You're going to also have the head, but then you're also going to have the throat, because all of those three things are working within the crown, just like the pineal, pituitary, and hypothalamus all work together, creating a trinity. You're always going to be working with threes, as I've mentioned in many of my videos, and even when you're working with those threes, they're always going to be hooking up with something else simultaneously. That's why it's so strenuously. This path is very strenuous, and can seem very long, and that's why it's also tricky to really understand where you currently are, because we're always working with something. So although we have worked with Aleph in Taurus, we might have received information that we could be working in an Aleph through Taurus through a symbol. Do you understand that symbol? Have you worked through your lessons in pertaining to that symbol? And of course, don't forget, when you work with Aleph, you're working with other letters of the alphabet as well in levels, always. And do you have those connections that are being made to the levels that you currently are at? And if you do, you're going to receive the beginning, middle, and end. You're going to be receiving, a sign that this is where we are, this is what you've done, and now you have a completion. You should understand every single thing that you are going through. You have to understand your path. It's the only way that you can complete a lesson. You can complete that grade, that you can check it off. So Lamed is our hookup, the hook that unites the crown to the spine. And that's why Moses was able to raise the serpent with his staff. All right, so I'm going to have to leave it here as with this, because things have come into my day asking me to create more flow or more flexibility. And I am doing so. But I shall be back soon, I hope, with more information. So you guys take care, take rest, and be aware of your experiences. This is Christy. Much love, health, and healing your way. I am bringing purpose to your life. Take care.